All right, today we're going to do a really deep analytical dive into a major policy memo that dropped on December 2nd. Now, this isn't just a simple summary. We're treating this like an expert report, breaking down the nuts and bolts, the core mechanisms, and the real-world effects of a policy that has sent some serious shockwaves through the immigration system. So, let's get into it. Okay, so here's how we're going to tackle this. We've got 6 parts. We'll start with the freeze itself, then we'll map out exactly who it's hitting. After that, we'll look at the official reasoning or lack thereof. Then, and this is important, we'll get into defining some key terms, explore the real-world consequences for applicants, and finally, we'll look ahead at what might be coming next. So on December 2nd, this policy memorandum comes out, and it immediately slams the brakes on application processing. And it did this in 3 very specific and pretty significant ways. This wasn't some slow, gradual change. This was an immediate, full stop. So what did this memo actually do? Well, it rolled out 3 major actions all at once. First up, a universal hold on all I-589 asylum applications. It doesn't matter what your nationality is, everything is on pause. Second, a more targeted hold on what are called benefit requests for people from a list of 19 specific countries. And the third piece of this is retroactive. It's a full-scale re-review of all benefit requests that were already approved for people from those same 19 countries, going all the way back to January 20, 2021. Okay, so to really get a grip on this, we've got to map out exactly who's affected and how, because the policy doesn't hit everyone the same way. It really creates these different tiers of impact, and it's absolutely crucial to tell them apart. You can almost think of the impact here in different layers. So at the top, you have all asylum seekers, period. They're all facing indefinite pause on their I-589s. Then you have the next layer, nationals from that specific list of 19 countries. For them, any pending benefit requests, having green card applications, renewals, things like that, are now on hold. And for that very same group, even their past approvals are now being pulled back for a re-review. And here they are, those 19 countries. Now, here's a really critical detail, right from the memo's own footnotes. This isn't just about your current citizenship. This applies to anyone who lists one of these nations as their country of birth or their country of citizenship. Think about that. It means even dual citizens could get caught up in this if one of their nationalities is on this list. So, the big question is, why? What's the thinking behind such a sudden, sweeping move? Let's dig into the reasoning for this action. And this is where things get interesting, because the official memo itself, it's pretty quiet on the why. It doesn't spell it out. But if you look at the actions themselves, you can start to connect the dots. Expert analysis points to a few things. The agency has been talking a lot about needing more vetting to catch fraud and security risks. And that universal hold on asylum, well, that strongly suggests there could be a desire to completely overhaul the entire asylum program. A huge piece of this puzzle, maybe the most important piece for understanding just how wide this net is cast, comes down to this one kind of vague but absolutely critical term, benefit request. So what exactly is a benefit request? Well, in the simplest terms, it's pretty much any application you file that grants you some kind of immigration benefit. This is way more than just getting a green card. We're talking about authorization to work, permission to travel, even the final step of becoming a citizen. And this is where we really have to dig in. The memo's footnotes specifically call out some forms, like the I-45 for a green card or the I-751 to remove conditions. But here's the thing, because that term benefit request is so broad, we're seeing other forms get swept up in this too. There are reports coming from the field of naturalization ceremonies being canceled for people from these countries. That means the N-400 for citizenship is implicitly affected, even though it was never named in the memo. Okay, so let's bring this down to the ground level. What does this actually mean for a real person, an applicant caught in the middle of this freeze? Let's walk through the real-world consequences. This is the new, uncertain journey for so many. You file your application, and boom, it's put on ice indefinitely. And here's the really tricky part.
Some steps in the process might actually keep going. You could even get called in for an interview, but you'll go through the whole thing, and at the end, no decision. You just leave in limbo. And to top it off, there's even a chance you'll have to come back for a second interview whenever this hold is finally lifted.
So naturally, this brings up the single most practical question people are asking. With this freeze in place, does it even make sense to file a new application right now? And the answer, from what legal analysis suggests, is a clear yes. You should still file. And there are a couple of really crucial strategic reasons for that. First, it gets you a spot in line. When things eventually start moving again, you'll be in the queue. But second, and this is probably even more important for some, having a pending application can actually stop the clock on something called unlawful presence, which is a huge protection if your current status is about to run out. All right, let's shift gears and look to the future. How long could this thing last? What happens now? To get any kind of clue, we really have to look at some recent history. Believe it or not, we have a pretty recent parallel for this. Just back in February of this year, a similar processing pause was put on applications for the parole programs for people from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela, the CHNV programs. That hold lasted for about 4 months, from February to June, and it was only lifted after a successful legal challenge in court. Now, that's no guarantee we'll see the same timeline here, but it's a very relevant benchmark to keep in mind. And that, of course, leaves us with the million-dollar question. The memo calls this pause temporary, but there's no end date attached. So, how long is temporary? And maybe more importantly, when the freeze eventually thaws, what permanent changes will this have made to how the immigration system actually vets and processes these cases? That, right now, is the great